Hey there. Today I'm going to show you how to EQ vocals in Studio One using only Studio One stock plugins. All sounds have frequencies and we use EQs to either boost frequencies we like or remove frequencies that we don't like. And while there's a lot of different EQs available, the stock Studio One EQ is great and will do the trick. If you're watching this and you use another DAW, all of the principles apply exactly the same, it's just slightly different tools. My name is Nick Roller, I'm a producer and mixing engineer from Perth, Australia. Welcome to the channel. I have just finished a free vocal mixing cheat sheet. You can get it, it's linked below the top of the description. Completely free, just plug in your email and you will get it. It kind of just runs through my general process. It's fairly high level, but I think it'll be really helpful if you're new to mixing vocals. Now let's get into it. We're working with this vocal.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one.
It's me singing. It's not great, as is often the case, but I think it's okay. The melody itself is fine. The performance is okay. Doesn't matter. The point of this video is to show you how I would EQ it. So what I'm going to do is just solo it. I've pitch corrected it with Melodyne and Autotune.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one.
You can hear the pitch correction. It's, as I said, a bit of a rush job. So what I'm going to do is pull up Pro EQ by PreSonus. Yeah, I mean, you should be familiar with this if you use Studio One. It's a good EQ. Now, I'm going to use two different EQs, I think. The first will be the Pro EQ, and with that, I'm going to just clean it up a little bit, clean up some of the muddiness. Then I'm potentially going to use a fat channel instance and use one of the analog emulations of a vintage EQ for a bit of vibe. Realistically, you can do this in one of two ways. You can either do it all on one EQ, or you can use one EQ for, say, cutting, one EQ for boosting, or you can use one EQ for surgical stuff, then one EQ for like broad movements. I guess that's three different ways. Doesn't really matter too much. It's more about how you're going to look at the instances of the EQ and if it's going to make sense to you. Some people having a lot of different EQ curves on one EQ is a little bit overwhelming, so you might want to break it down into different steps. For me, I like a bit of both. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a high pass filter and cut up to about 100, 150 depending on my vocal.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done.
135 is good. It is taking a bit of the weight out of it. I did record it on this microphone, which does have quite a low bassiness to it. I'm happy to lighten the vocal by high passing it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a low frequency bell, which I suspect is this orange one. And I'm going to do probably a bit of dynamic EQ. So that means that when a certain voltage or volume surpasses the threshold we set, it's going to clamp it down.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the...
And what I'm hearing here is there's just this resonant note that's kind of annoying me, and it's somewhere between, I want to say 150 and 200. So we're going to go hunting.
Please forgive me for all that I've done.
What's that frequency? So I'm going to use dynamic by pressing the little D, set this to 0. I think I'm happy with the Q. And then the threshold and range. And this is a great feature of Studio One that they implemented a few versions ago. But basically, I just want it to drop it a little bit. Let's say 4 dB. And we're just going to play with the threshold. Sorry, I had to activate the dynamic. I don't actually use this EQ too often because I use Pro Q.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done.
So that's just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. I like dynamic EQs because they're a little bit more musical to my ears. If you're always taking it out, I don't know, like it just kind of feels a bit lifeless. At least the dynamic EQ allows when that frequency isn't going crazy, you can still have that frequency in the vocal. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to listen for, I guess, harsh frequencies that are higher. Obviously, there's a number of ways that you can EQ vocals. You can hunt down every bad frequency. The issue is that the more frequencies that you hunt, the more frequencies kind of become apparent. You fix one problem, then the next problem appears, and it's kind of a never-ending chase sometimes. So what I like to do is I'm generally dealing with these things that I just did, like that's pretty common. I will generally boost a shelf to make it a bit brighter and airy. What happens in this mid-range depends on the vocal. I tend to not go crazy with it until I hear something that bothers me a few times. I just find otherwise I over EQ, and often with EQing, less is more. So let's start off with just a high shelf. We'll try it on this Pro EQ and then see how we feel.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done.
I really like going quite hard with these high shelves at kind of above 10k, sometimes 15k. I find you can push it pretty hard without the sibilance getting crazy, and it just adds this air to the vocal that sounds quite professional to me.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one.
Obviously, you can go too hard with it, so like all things in mixing and production, just, play it by ear. So what I did here was the S went a bit crazy. So you can use a de-esser or you can use a dynamic EQ. Both work. Sometimes we use them in conjunction. Conjunction, I think that's the right word. We use them together. And to do that, I'm just going to find the sibilant frequency. When I say an S, there's like a really little nasty little notch on it. I'm going to try to just dial it out.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for...
I think it's about there, which is about 5k. I'm going to do dynamics.
Please forgive me for all that I've... Please forgive me for... Please forgive me for all that I've done.
I think that's it.
Please forgive me for...
And with these kind of things, because we're going quite fine on the cue, you can really get rid of quite a lot.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for...
That might not be the exact frequency, and as I've said, and I will continue to say, vocals is quite a dynamic process. We set it here, and then at the end of the mix, I've probably changed it 10 times because you keep hearing new things, or you decide that you want to tackle something a bit differently. Lots of hand movements going on, but this is a good starting point. That S will be in this range, give or take, I don't know, 250 hertz, let's say. It's in that bracket. I might need to narrow it in a little bit finer. That's where a tool like Pro Q3 is really good because it can actually show you that frequency. If you like hover on the audio, it just like analyzes it for you. It's a handy little trick. You can use your ear, obviously. Let's just for fun, let's turn this high shelf off and we'll pull up fat channel. I'm also mixing in isolation right now. I'm mixing just the vocal by itself. It is a good idea to mix with other instruments, as kind of at the end of the day, you're going to be listening with other instruments. You don't listen to the vocal by itself unless for some reason in the song you do, but generally speaking, if you mix by itself, you can kind of just make the wrong decision, essentially. You're not really paying attention to how it affects the whole, the forest for the trees. Now let's use this one. I think this will be good because we've got a mid band, which will probably be a interesting thing to see how it affects the overall vibe, and then also this nice boost.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done.
360 hertz boosted at 16 dB doesn't sound nice, and neither does 700. I like to sometimes push something up to see if I don't like it and then dial it out, rather than just like removing stuff without really hearing that frequency. So I'm just going to pull it out a little bit.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one.
Honestly, not loving this high band, so I'm not going to do that, and kind of just trying that. Obviously, like there's a lot of different types of EQs here, but let's just go back to the Pro EQ, just in the simplest form. I'm going to do the same thing.
Please forgive me for all that.
I would say it would be about this frequency here if I was going to cut anything. Let's just try like a 2 dB cut and see if that feels any better.
Please forgive me for all that I've done.
Maybe adds a little bit to it, and then let's reboost.
Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one. Please forgive me for all that I've done. If I had to choose, baby, you're the chosen one.
That feels pretty good. With these kind of things, there is an element of just subjective taste. I've kind of removed a bit of the body of this vocal. Some people like having lots of body to a vocal, like having kind of a nice deep bassy voice. I think I tend to like a little bit of a lighter voice, brighter and lighter. Keep that in mind, but as kind of a rule of thumb, you want to get rid of the low rumble by high passing. You want to probably boost. Maybe you want to shelve if it's super bright vocal on a super bright mic. You probably want to deal with some like low resonant points, somewhere between 150 to 300 hertz. There'll tend to be something there, and yeah, just making sure you deal with your S's, both de-essing and dealing with sibilance. That's generally pretty good. There's obviously like that whole big mid-range in here, between 300 to 4,000. So there can be problems there. I definitely would say like I tend to not actually deal with that space as much as you probably would think. I feel like I used to, but I don't know. A vocal is a vocal. I like the sound of a vocal, unless I'm trying to make a vocal sound like something it's not. I kind of want to embrace the vocal and just make it slightly better, not kind of destroying it, if that makes sense. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. As I said before, you can get that free vocal mixing cheat sheet down below, and there's also a few other free things that I've got, such as free Studio One presets and free Studio One production course, but you can go check that out in the description, and I will catch you next video. Goodbye.